openly, and as Mayor Watson said, freely. Freedom of speech being the most important thing that any country and any peoples can enjoy. And remember, when we say rights are not given, they are taken away. So we're, as innate human beings, we all have fundamental rights. And it's regimes and governments and countries that take these rights from us that cause trouble and problems for each of us as humans. So this is a book that's freely expressed. It has some viewpoints in my mind that may not find amongst all of us a consensus of opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a wonderfully written book. It talks about the experience, the Arab experience here in Canada, and it amongst its many statements, it provokes the reader and those in the community of people that it represents to think deeply about your own attachment to Canada, about your own successes, and in some cases, maybe not achieving full potential. And maybe there's a need to do more, think more. And so in the final chapter, there's an action plan on what can be done by the community of people that the authors and the people it's targeted towards represent. And really all generations, but more importantly, the generation after the authors. So I start merely that by saying, I'm hoping I'm provoking some sales here because it's an easy read. It's about 170 pages, I think? 160 pages. It's an easy read. I read it in about 3 hours. I read it with a highlighter because that's what we learn to do in law school. You read things and you highlight the key points that really resonate with you. And then before I came tonight, I reread the portions that I'd highlighted. And I recommend that you use it as a workbook. And when you read it, you highlight, you write in the margins, you make notes to yourself, and you share these ideas amongst each other using social network and other types of media when you meet to talk about it. It really is that kind of book. I think it's meant to inspire action, behavior, goals, achievements, and so forth. So I really liked it. Dr. Cass?
Thank you.
And Elie, I really enjoyed it. And it is an honor for me, not just to be the MC tonight, but for you to have given me the book, to read it before I came tonight. I feel much better equipped and informed to be your MC.
Thank you.
So, I want to now introduce Elie Nasrallah. Most of you know him, but maybe you don't know all the details I'm about to share with you about him. He was born in Lebanon. He graduated from Carleton University here in Ottawa with an honors degree in political science. He also obtained a postgraduate certificate in regulatory law administration from Algonquin College, also here in Ottawa. Since 1988, he's been practicing as a certified and authorized immigration consultant, specializing in all immigration matters, and is now a member of the organization that licenses immigration consultants here in Canada. He's a writer, he's a commentator. You've seen his work, I'm sure, in the Ottawa Citizen many times. He's contributed to major newspapers throughout North America as well as in the Middle East. He's written in the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, the Montreal Gazette, as I said, the Ottawa Citizen, the Daily Star in Beirut, Annahar, El Amran, and El Balad. He is, furthermore, a media personality appearing frequently on major media outlets in Canada and in Lebanon. So I invite Elie, one of the authors of tonight's book, to come forward and to share his thoughts about the book and what it means to him.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Coming from you as one of the top immigration and refugee lawyers in Canada, and the top immigration lawyer in Ottawa is a great honor. Thank you, sir. I want to start by thanking each and every one of you for coming tonight. It's great from you to spend some time and support in a practical way, so thank you all. I want to thank my family, my lovely wife Nancy, and my two daughters Jessica and Christine, for their support for the last 7-8 months. I want to thank my brother Gus, who when I came from Lebanon in 1980, he was working and I was studying, and that without him that would have been very difficult. Thank you, Gus. I want to thank Sophie Hashim. She helped in editing many parts of the book, so she's a great editor and she's a great friend. Thank you, Sophie. I promised myself that when I'm going to do reading of the book, I'm going to start with this quote. It's really amazingly telling and summarizes the whole structure of the thesis of the book. It starts with, "It's hard to let old beliefs go. They are familiar. We are comfortable with them and have spent years building systems and developing habits that depend on them. Like a man who has worn eyeglasses so long that he forgets he has them on. We forget that the world looks to us the way it does because we have become used to seeing it that way through a particular set of lenses. Today, however, we need new lenses, and we need to throw the old ones away." This is for Kenichi Ohmi. He's a Japanese businessman and a thinker. That quote summarizes the core thesis of the book. We have to think anew in order to act anew. I'm just going to read a few, actually one or two pages from the introduction to give you a flavor of the theme and core message of the book. This book is about you. That is you, the average Canadian of Arab descent and the succeeding generations. And you, the average Canadian who is a concerned citizen, engaged in public affairs, demanding democratic debate, and cherishing a civilized discourse. Moreover, this book is for the person behind the cash register in a corner store or working in a cafeteria or restaurant or office, for those working in the public sector, for professionals, and ultimately for people in all walks of life. It is for the unemployed, underemployed, and the unmotivated Arab graduate and newcomer to Canada who has been searching the market for employment in vain, wondering if his or her Arabic-sounding name is the reason why the doors are not as open as promised or envisioned. This book is for the invisible Arab immigrant who has no voice, clout, or means to tell his or her story. Our aim and mission is to reach, engage, and challenge Arab Canadian citizens in light of the so-called Arab awakening since the end of 2010. To think anew and act anew, as Abraham Lincoln once said, to change their image and standing in this polity and wonderful land called Canada. In our opinion, Canadians are bound to review and reassess their assumptions and attitudes toward the Arabic community at large and their neighbors of Arabic-speaking countries, regardless of the heterogeneous nature of that community. The continuous onslaught of media coverage of events in the Arab world is proof that the yearning for liberty and the desire for democratic values and dignity are common values that Canadians and Arabs of all stripes are sharing and aspiring to. Humiliation, said Thomas Friedman, is the single most underestimated force in politics. People will absorb hardship, hunger, and pain. They will be grateful for jobs, cars, and benefits. But if you force people to live indefinitely under a rigid game that is flaunted in their face, or make them feel that cattle that can be passed by one leader to his son or one politician to another, eventually they will explode. No more we and they. And more importantly, no more us and them, as Edward Said's thesis of Orientalism professes. We are hoping in this book, we are hoping that this book will enable the average Canadian of Arab origin to form his or her own opinion and choose a direction as an autonomous entity, independent of any outside dictation, influence, or direction. No more ready-made opinions, rules, or attitudes imposed from above or from other quarters. Our earnest hopes are centered on the new generation, through which the Arab awakening/renewal can blossom. Our hopes are twofold. First, to shed the tyranny of tradition, tribalism, and prepackaged political and social attitudes. Second, to start participating fully and enthusiastically in the Canadian mainstream political, economic, and social affairs, given the historic events that have shook the Arab world since December 2010. Dare we say we dare to be daring. Canadians and Arabs alike should be prepared for what lies ahead. And prepare we must. Robert Putnam, a prominent US political scientist, was quoted in the New York Times on June 12, 2012, saying, the most certain prediction that we can make about almost any modern society is that it will be more diverse a generation from now than it is today. The Arab diaspora in Canada needs its own transformation in light of the promise and pride of the Arab Spring. This project is a small contribution in that direction. We truly believe that we are witnessing one of history's present at the creation moments, and we urge you to seize it and tell your children about it and try to be different than previous generation, because this is not going to be repeated every year or two. This is something that happens every thousands of years. In this book, the authors make no position on the political aspects of the Arab awakening phenomena. We take no position on the political aspect of the Arab awakening phenomena. Furthermore, when we are talking about the Arab Spring, we are not looking at a particular tree. Rather, we are looking at the forest. I urge you again, when you are reading the book, as the mayor said, to have an open mind regarding the potential, the great potential of you as Arab Canadians for the future, and the great potential of your children to reshape, reassess, and re-energize your presence in Canada, and to have a more effective role in the future, politically, economically, and socially. There is no reason that we cannot be more influential. And Dr. Ghanem, at the end of the book, wrote specifically a chapter called A Call for Action. It's a roadmap, it's a plan on how to do it. It's a practical tips on how to do it. It's not just saying, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. There are ideas and there is a program, and we talk about immigration and the changes of immigration. Immigration is not what it used to be. You probably all came in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, or 90s. It's a totally different world. That's why it's a must-read regarding the changes that are already here and anticipated changes. And we thank you all for coming, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.